Hello, my name is Heather Howell. I am a high school teacher here in the Burlington community at a high school called Emma Robinson High School. I work together with a special program within the Halton District School Board called the Community Pathways Program. This program is an educational program for students with disabilities, both neurodivergent students as well as other students with other developmental disabilities. My students in this program have been involved in our horticulture heritage garden project. It's a project that we started a few years ago in collaboration together with the museums of Burlington. My students ended up coming up to the Ireland House Museum that we see behind us. And the Ireland Hut family were one of our early settler families to the Burlington community, and they built their homestead back in the 1837. My students, when they came up into this area, they were, we were just kind of visiting the property, but we noticed that the garden next to the homestead needed a little bit of, tender care. And since my students are actually involved in a course called horticulture therapy, we decided we can work together and we can help out the museums of Burlington with their kitchen garden. And so that's what we did. So with our project, we are involved with both the growing to the harvesting and the preservation of food. My students are learning about historical methods where they're actually, in terms of growing the food. So they're going to be learning, how you're actually going to be fertilizing the garden using, some of the animal manures that the families would be having in the past, and they would also be doing kind of traditional methods. So for instance, watering the garden all by hand using the water that we've collected from the rain barrels. We also work together with the museums of Burlington to learn about food preservation. So in my students back at the school, we ended up learning about how did families live here in Canada before we actually had refrigerators. So we learn about food preservation, such as drying our food, doing things such as making juices, making apple cider, and of course we also end up learning about canning, and we end up learning about pickling. And so within our program, our students are learning life skills. So these are skills that they will be needing within our school program, but also skills that we'll be needing later on in life when they go out, when they graduate and go into the community or to post-secondary or into the workforce. So my students are going to be, they're employing hands-on skills, interpersonal skills together with their teammates. They're using gross motor skills, which is very important for for many of my students, as well as practicing fine motor skills. They're practicing communications, talking with each other, using clear voices. My students are also learning about initiative. So, kind of learning, when they learn the routines, when they come up to the garden, they practice the routines. What are the things that need to be done? Are there weeds that need to be pulled? Does the water need to be, the watering cans need to get filled up and watered? Are there things that need to be harvested? Let's check the garden to see if anything's been eaten or, if anything's kind of growing and we need to actually harvest it. Our garden project is also giving back to our community. So everything that we grow in our garden gets harvested and we end up bringing it down to our local food bank. History is not necessarily part of their curriculum, and so in many ways I'm able to actually kind of bring that passion of history into my program together with them because they love learning and they love doing things. And so I can kind of bring the love of history through tactile, a tactile way of actually teaching history. Not only able to kind of learn about what was it like to be living here in Burlington 100 years ago, but we're actually doing things by actually by doing stuff within the garden and using practical, practical methods of gardening that families would have been using within our community, but also doing that food preservation. And of course, my students, they learn history through eating as well. So food is always, the source to any student's heart would actually be through food as well. And one of the programs that we do together with the Museums of Burlington is we end up doing food preservation. And so all my students are able to kind of bring home a jar of pickles that they're so happy with, and share it together with their families. It's very important for young people to actually be connected together with history, especially my students. My students, their curriculum that they've been going through from elementary into high school hasn't had a lot of history connections because they're primarily focused on life skills. But my students also love learning about academics. And so I am able to integrate history within a lot of my, a lot of the different courses that I teach within this program. And so my students love to learn about the place where they live, right? How's our community actually changed over time? Where's our school situated? They love learning about, just in terms of the family, in the Ireland family and the families that would have actually been here 100 years ago.